Well, if you guys didn't watch it, we're going to watch right now and maybe break down some of the more interesting parts of it. I watched this live last night. I'm probably going to post this about a week from now, but this is still fresh in my mind and one of the rare occasions that I actually watched the fight beforehand. But I was kind of drunk and didn't get the entire feeling of that fight. And I want to sense how these guys developed and read each. I don't want to sound like Robin Black. Anyways, we're going to watch a fight and we're going to talk about it and have some fun while we do it. So let's do it. I'll flip the hat backwards because I think this fight requires it. Let's go. We got Joshua Quayhagen versus Rafael Aghayev. Yeah, he's 5'4" from Azerbaijan. Short guy, but considered the best karate fighter on the planet. But if you're watching this video, you probably already know that. And then Quayhagen kind of has like a hit or miss MMA record from what I looked up. But you know what? He's fun to watch, and he's kind of got that Southern American, not like South America, but like the South in the States, that grit that a lot of those guys have. I don't know. They seem to be able to take a punch better than anybody on the planet. Those guys in the South in the States. Straight out of Louisiana. Karate tokens. Yeah, I love the way that these guys all move. I like the idea of karate combat. I like that there's actual minimal grappling, but you're not really allowed to control the person, which is sort of like, I don't know, really interesting when you think about mixing that into striking, because it makes the striking a lot more honest, right? Unlike when we were watching World Combat League for the last couple videos, right? Those guys aren't allowed to grapple at all, so they would just kind of like fall to their asses a lot and, you know, get a free reset off of that. For this one, if you go to the mat, right, basically your opponent has the ability to step right over top of you and start throwing strikes. All right. And Rafael's really good at these blitzes, and he's super strong too. All right, he's got such a bulky torso and a lot of speed and great overhands. But Quayhagen's just tough as anything. Yeah. He just keeps running into strikes. Right. Rafael's timing every one of his movements. Right. And throwing soon as Quayhagen wants to throw and hitting him first, so he's not giving the opportunity to land anything. Yeah, it's hard to think of what you want to do against a guy who's like a lot shorter than you, a lot faster than you, more technical than you are. Like, what is your idea to go into that fight? You're just going to be gritty as anything and try to rush him down and take shots and not really give a shit about it? Would be cool to think that's the best option, but I don't know. There's got to be a better idea than that. Yeah, you got to think about counters that he's going to give you. But what I like about Rafael is that he's very subtle in his movements, right? You see that when he's waiting to throw his strikes, he's almost perfectly still, right? In between every movement that he wants to do. Like, his hands aren't that bouncy. They're always in ready, loaded position to fire at his target. He's not doing anything silly or sort of like throwing them around all over the place. That's usually one of the first things that I try to teach the guys that I'm working with, and I find like drastically improves their consistency and the efficiency of their striking, is to get them to keep a steady guard, right, and not be doing this the whole time. Like, it looks cool, but it's not going to get you any further in your striking, I think, as long as you can use effective feints, right, and then you can mislead your opponent in the same way. Look at how he used his head movement there. Right, slipping to the inside of the jab. All right, how did he time that though? So Quayhagen throws that jab off. All right, yeah, it was a fadeaway 1-2. Yeah, and he timed it perfectly, ducking underneath into a body lock. As soon as their knees hit the mat, right, if the controlling person or the ground and pounding person knees touch the mat, then they reset and they have to stand back up. That's what I mean by, like, you can grapple and take the guy down, but you can't really control them. And there's a 5-second time limit for strikes when the person's on their back. Pretty odd. Good low kick. Yeah, good jump knee. All right, and Quayhagen has a okay wrestling background. You can see the way he's level changing and trying to keep the better head position to Rafael. But it's hard when somebody's right underneath you and they're so quick too. All right, like he really has a wrestler's body, not so much like what we think of as a karate striker. But maybe that's one of the reasons he's one of the most successful in the world. All right, it's hard to figure him out. I can almost guarantee that's why. I can guarantee it. All right, let's see what goes on. Karate Combat. I love this shit. It's so much fun to watch. I just like different fighting. Like, obviously, like a lot of MMA fighters would kill these guys. But you really got to appreciate that they're the best at this. Like, I like sumo, too, for the exact same reason. You got to appreciate that they're the best in the world at doing that. I don't know. I find it funny when people are pretentious in martial arts. There we go. Yeah, the touching with the lead hands. Yeah, good body kick. All right, step in overhand right afterwards. See, that type of stuff is really, really smart. All right, he lands the inside low kick, boom, then up to the body right afterwards. Let him in with 2 kicks, and then just when Quayhagen thinks that maybe one more kick is coming, boom, he steps in with the left overhand. All right, it's constantly switching up the types of strikes he's throwing and masking them with other ones. All right, there's only one pattern in fight sport, and that's or there's only one strategy in fight sport, and it's pattern recognition. So if you're not giving them patterns that they can figure out, then they can't really mount an intelligent strategy. But it seems like Rafael's is pretty obvious here. He wants to touch him a couple times, body lock him, and then try to take him down. All right. No, we're on, dude. No groin shot. Again, that same left overhand. He's so good at timing that. And it makes sense being the smaller guy, right? You're underneath a lot of these strikes. You want to time a perfect overhand. And from him to transition from point fighting to this and still be like one of the best strikers, destroy Raymond Daniels, which he did last time, it really says something about his skill level as an overall athlete. Right, that's a huge adjustment to make from being a point fighter where you just need to land one strike to having to land multiples of combinations. Yeah, that was a cool combo. Need to see more intelligent feinting out of Quayhagen, though. Yeah, see? Right there. He feinted and then threw a jab right behind it, and he actually landed the second one. Nice. Good timing. All right, let's see that again. Boom, right. Just timed him as he came in, using straight punches to counter the overhand. All right. It's beautiful. Comes up with the head kick, caught by Rafael, and then just dumped him on his back. It's smart. It's smart. Oh, every time, timing him with that overhand. All right. Yeah, a little bit of clinching. All right, that half plumb lining up his power strikes. All right. I think he's like really good at masking whether it's going to be a hooking punch or an overhand or if it's going to be a straight. All right, it might be quite hard to read what Rafael's intentions are with his power hand, because he seems to land it so much and guys really don't have an answer for it. Everybody, right? And he just throws it over and over and over again. I wonder if front kicks would work well, because I don't know. Be hard to time because he's so quick at coming in. Right? You're lifting your foot up off the mat, and by the time you're even trying to straighten out your leg, you're probably getting hit with an overhand. Hard to say. All right. Hard to say. It's a hard style to fight. You know, usually the guys that are the hardest for me to spar are the ones that are like 5'4", 5'3". They're so quick. They usually have just as much power as the guys that are taller than them, at least that I find, just because they make it up with speed. Like one of my students, again, he's like 5'4", and I've trained him for about 2 years, and he can kind of beat the piss out of me, which is like the best compliment that you could have from one of your students. Nice, love that. That's a cool little feint. Right. Yeah, just a little lift of that lead leg, kind of like a super jab or Superman jab, whatever you want to call it. Right, but that's when he's landing these strikes on Rafael, right? He's feinting. It has to be sharp, efficient feints. It can't be stuff that's like lazy or rounded. Everything has to be to the point, and that's the only way he's landing these strikes on Rafael afterwards. It's pretty, I don't know, interesting to think about figuring out one of the best in the world. But I feel like that's the only time that Quayhagen's landing his best strikes. Yeah. A little bit of mirroring there from Rafael. He's throwing the same technique at Quayhagen back. Aghayev. Nice. A little bit of use of the pit wall. Downs himself. That sort of stuff I don't like. I wish they would take a point away or do something to penalize intentionally going to the mat to avoid fighting. Yeah. Yeah, just walking forward isn't enough. Use your feints. Use your feints. Feinting is one of my favorite concepts to teach. Right, because it opens up so much in terms of understanding strategy and fighting. All right, it all goes back to pattern recognition, like I mention a lot. And feints are the simplest way to expose that first pattern that you might notice there's a hole in. Nice, good crash. Watch the footwork again there. I hate this camera angle, by the way. This is the dumbest thing they did for this. Boom. Right, but shifting in on that left straight and stepping forward into is, yeah, and the exact same technique again. If it works, why change it? He's going to do it again. Oh, body lock. Yeah, even when they're leaning up against the pit wall too, you're still allowed to do head and face strikes. Whatever, head strikes. And face. You can hit the head and the face. Again, he's finding that technique, right? Sort of leaping in on his right hook, bringing it over top. Yep. That's smart. All right. Timing the jab. All right. And look at the timing here from Aghayev. He hasn't even moved his head yet. His left hand is always ready to fire, though, right? We know that from what we spoke about earlier, right? He's not moving his hands in all kinds of weird places, right? But again, Quayhagen skipped that lead leg forward into the super jab, which worked so well in this position the first time. And then he slips his head to the outside with an intercepting cross. Brilliant. All right, to be able to time it in that moment, like you must have some of the best reads in fighting. Right, the jab was literally halfway to his face, and in that moment he decided to slip his head and counter with the cross. Again, he's got good head movement for a guy that also has great footwork. Usually it's one or the other. If you can move your feet, you don't really need to utilize that much in terms of head movement, because you're moving your feet anyways, you're out of the way. Not to mention in point fighting, you wouldn't really want to risk getting touched at all because that's a point for the other guy. So for him to make this adjustment is super impressive. But I think it goes back to him being a bit of a shorter guy. You're underneath a lot of those strikes. Maybe you don't have the ability to escape back, or create space because you're so much smaller. So you utilize your head movement to slip and dodge and counter with his super powerful left straight. Yeah, it was kind of cool. Yeah, ate that knee. All right, there's no pump to it at all. All right, even just watching that in slow motion. All right, it's sitting right from his sort of chest, that low guard that he plays. Right, he's landing that left straight, and without opening up his right hook too much. Right, he's swinging it, but it's nothing that would really open up a bigger hole for him to be countered. And look at the head movement there. What a badass sweep. Yeah, Bass Rutten said it best right there. It's the awareness. Right. I hate this sky angle. Like, look how much of the screen they're taking up right now. I want them to be at least half the screen. Not one little dot in the middle. Like, look how, like, what can we see from there? I have no idea what just happened. Karate Combat, get your shit together. The overhead cam is cool for when you're just bringing it in to the action. Kind of gives it that, like, droney feel, but I don't want to watch it from here. This far away. Nice left straight to the body again. So he's always building on those next pieces. Right, perfect left straight to the body, lands it. Right, recognizes that it works it again. Right, slipping to the outside of Quayhagen's left as well. All right, then following up with that right hook, which has worked again a lot in that last round. Nice. Yeah. You're not allowed to clinch and strike at the same time. You can clinch, but you have to disengage before your strike lands. Even if it's just a millisecond before, you can't be controlling them while the strike lands. Damn, look at the head movement. Look. Okay, you kind of got touched there, but slips to the inside of it. Flows away. Again, sort of just outside of the range of all of those. Amazing head movement. All right, just has a perfect understanding of range. Again, it's just, the difference between good and great here with Quayhagen and Rafael is like Quayhagen landed some things, right? He had some successes, but he didn't build on it or develop it any further, right? He landed with some feints in the first and the second round. He still has a lot of juice left in the tank. He's still moving sharply, right? But he's just throwing like individual strikes and doing this very lazy feint at his opponent. All right, it's just not enough to actually land what he wants to land. And again, Aghayev like is just switching up and down between all these different strikes, and each one of them is landing. All right, because he's giving no consistency to the pattern. Right, and when you think one thing's coming, you think the cross is coming to the body, it ends up being in the overhand to the head. You think the overhand to the head is coming, it ends up being a low kick to the inside of the leg. Right, because that entire side of his body is like masked in movement. I feel like sometimes I talk like I'm a discount Robin Black. I don't know. I try to use a little bit less fluff than he does and kind of speak a little bit more to the point, hopefully. I like him. I'm actually a fan. He's from Toronto too, but... Nice! Go, go, go! Nice. Nice. He's down. I want to see that little step in right hook that Quayhagen landed there. Right there. That was pretty cool. All right. I love those types of strikes, the contralateral ones. Right, contralateral would mean opposite limbs working together. So it's Quayhagen's left hook as he's stepping his right foot forward. So you get that opposite step to hand, right? Opposed to what a lot of boxers usually do, where it's ipsilateral, where same hand and same leg would be working together, i.e. you step your left foot in with your left jab, right? That'd be an ipsilateral movement. This is contralateral. And it often is a great way to set up angles and cover distance really quickly while maintaining the power of your strike. But it doesn't work if you get fucking punched in the face a second later. It's a good fight, though. This would be fun to watch live. As in, like, in there and after. Again, Rafael's sort of dominating the majority of these rounds here and looking like the much cleaner, more technical fighter. Border wearing a hat. And everything Quayhagen's doing is just, you know, sort of an afterthought. Like, oh man, I hope this works. All right. Again, use a feint. Use a feint. All right. He slips to the inside. He's rolling. He's moving. Right. He's flowing with every single one of your strikes. You got to get him to move first and then follow up afterwards. That's the only way you can land a strike on a guy who's so good at his movement, right? And you got to be quick at it, and you got to commit when you're going to commit. But your feint's got to look good too, right? Because someone who's as good at reading as Rafael is, right, he's going to recognize what's real and what's not, you know, probably better than most would. But if your fight looks, or if your strike looks realistic, and you can actually sell your opponent on the fact that it's coming, then you might have a good chance of landing it. But hey, what are you going to do? Fifth round. It's a good 5-round fight. Like, Quayhagen isn't getting dominated, but he's definitely losing. Again, he's so ready to strike at any moment. A little bit of footwork, a little bit of movement. It's smart. Don't stand in front of him. Keep him moving. All right, but he looked pretty tired in the end of that 4th round there. Yeah, good head position. All right, smart wrestling out of Quayhagen. All right, blocking that. All right, it's funny, a lot of karate-based striking can look pretty wild when they're in the middle of combinations. Right, because they're not really as used to chaining things together. And Aghayev being purely a karate striker, right? He's only competed in karate as far as I know, and karate combat. You can see it in the way that he throws his punches. Like, the longer the combinations get, sort of the wilder his striking starts to look. Right, Quayhagen can keep it together a little bit more and chain things together a little bit cleaner. Yeah, this is good. He's putting the pressure on him. Again, good use of head movement, a little bit of footwork. All right, he's already won the rest of the fight. He doesn't need to put himself any more danger than he has already. But even that right there, I love that use of footwork to off of pressure, kind of ducking underneath the jab and pressuring forward. And that's something I got to tell my students a lot. It's like, don't constantly move away. You're just giving your opponent room to throw strikes, right? You're giving them the opportunity to continue to strike. But if you close the distance with them, you get chest to chest, you know, your shoulder connected to their body, you're really taking away most of their striking, which is obvious when you say it out loud, but not as intuitive when someone's trying to punch you in the head. There we go. He just keeps giving it back. He's tough as shit too. Alright. I feel like Aghayev is the type of guy that whatever he did, he could have became the best at. He's just such a good athlete. Get up, goofball. Fight's still on. Damn, Quayhagen just leaving it all out there. Again, just gritty striking, you know, accepting a little bit of punishment, but just to get his off. Nice. Oh! So I wish we could have seen that, but we had that fucking stupid angle. I think we catch it in a replay afterwards. Damn! Good fight. Okay, let's skip forward. Nice. Yeah, my commentary is just so you guys don't have to listen to Luke Rockhold. Nice. Man, Quayhagen did great in that dirty boxing range. If he stayed inside just a little bit more. That's the Peter Yan combination. Look at that. Spinning back fist, flowing into the overhand right behind it. I love that. Peter Yan does that all the time. He did against Sandhagen a bunch. Oh, fun fight. God. Listening to commentary from Luke Rockhold, though, I get what, you know, Karate Combat's trying to do. They bring in so many influencers and, you know, people they think will bring more eyes to the brand, which makes sense. Like, they had a ton of crypto people that were hanging out and talking about crypto, I guess, which is cool, but also you get some oddballs. Yeah, fun fight. Hey, I hope Karate Combat lets me do my commentary on this and doesn't rip it down. I really appreciate it because I'm a huge fan, guys, and I think I'm adding some value maybe to the video. Anyways, just throwing that out there. But yeah, if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you're in Toronto, right, reach out to me at Rideout MMA on everything. I do personal training, I teach some classes, right, lots of one-on-one stuff, and yeah, I would love to maybe meet some of the people that are watching my channel. We'll see you next time. Bye.